Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to round number 6 of the Nemesis Online Racing League. And we are here at Spa-Francorchamps today. Very much looking forward to this, as Spa does never disappoint, and I'm assuming that we're going to be seeing quite a few Ferraris today. As we can see, Nemesis absolutely barreling down the straight, the Camel Straight. But certainly just running a little bit wide, making a few mistakes there. Is Nemesis? Oh, and that is right. No, that does not make it any better at all. Oh, okay. Rightio, so now they come through Puon. We're spectating Lord George here at the moment. There's Ricardo, of course, who is our championship leader. And good to see Callum J. Spencer back from Vegas. Absolutely ploughing through those bunch of corners. Now into Blanchimont. Such a beautiful corner. Of course, we've seen Max Verstappen famously go around the outside of Felipe Nasr there. Now through the bus stop chicane. Who will take pole position? It looks like it might just be Callum J. Spencer. Headed death stairs, and it's going to be Callum J. Spencer who takes pole position here with a 1:45.3. Half a second ahead of death stairs, and nobody stood chance. With the speed that he's quite clearly just picked up from Vegas. Hello to Halab899 live in the chat, who says, hey, first time watching. Now, I think that might actually be true for the first time ever, when you say that. Oh, except for the first time you watch Chaz. So good to see you in the chat, mate. But it's Callum J. Spencer who takes pole position from Destes. Danny in 3rd, Ricardo in 4th, Kevin Jacobs in 5th, 6th is Lord George, 7th is Nemesis, 8th is Galactic Skull, 9th is Doug Yaframan, 10th is Seppi, 11th is G-Man, Murcielago is 12th, and 13th is Anel Tanovic. And hopefully, just hopefully, I might be able to get to the championship standings before the race begins. Yes, I will just indeed. Ricardo is currently leading the championship on 90 points. Callum J. Spencer's in 2nd on 80. Danny Bin Lahai is 3rd on 73. Dougie Aframan is in 4th on 59. Anel is 5th on 58, of course, who was very quick in the last race at Hungary. 6th is Destes on 50. Testo Meister and Lord George are both on 48. Nemesis is on 44, Sonic is on 23, Galactic Skull's on 22, Kevin Jacobs is on 15, I think, unless I'm retarded. Ragnar is on 10, Seppi is on 6, G-Man is on 6, and Murcielago is on 6 as well. But we are just ready to get underway as 4, 5, and lights out and away we go. It looks like it's been a fairly good start there for the Ferrari of Callum J. Spencer, but instead it actually hasn't, as Deathstairs actually got ahead into turn 1. But now they are side by side as they're going to come up Eau Rouge. Who is going to come out on top here? Oh, there's contact! There's massive contact! And that was Deathstairs in the wall there. Oh, dearie me. But we've got Williams up the inside. Callum J. Spencer's getting attacked by the Williams. But he's just been able to manage to fend off Danny Bin Lahar and Ricardo F1 down the end of the Camel Straight. But what a crazy start we've had to this race. As now Danny Ibn Lahar and Lord George are fighting for position. As the run up to Puon, a very tricky corner. You don't want to be touching that inside curb. But both Williams behind of Ricardo F1 and Lord George running wide there. Wow, we had Callum J. Spencer and Deathstairs side by side into Air Rouge. Oh, and Lord George there's made a little bit of a mistake through Stabilo. And that has cost him third place in this race. But in the slipstream on the run up to Blanchimont is looking to try and make a way past, and he might be able to do so into the bus stop chicane. He's going to try and send it down the inside, but he is just not close enough, and Ricardo maintains position for the time being. But we certainly have a lot of action behind, as well as Callum J. Spencer has a very healthy lead at the moment of 1.1 seconds. As we have Nemesis defending from Deathstairs, who of course will be looking to avenge what happened to him coming into this very corner on the first lap. As we now have Nemesis sitting up behind them all, and Dougie Afroman running a little bit wide up at the top of Radion. But now Nemesis in the slipstream of Deathstairs, he's gaining and gaining and gaining. He has the inside line. Is he going to be able to make the move sticky? No, he's not quite close enough. And Deathstairs takes 6th place. But it seems as if we have quite a bit of action behind with the G-Bad. Murcielago, I think might have just been off circuit. But now Deathstairs has made his way past Dougie Afroman and also Nemesis. So Dougie must have made a mistake there, and already we're seeing that the field is quite spread out. After 2 laps of racing, we have 11 laps of racing here at Spa. Through the Stabilos they come onto a corner that through there in the wet is extremely difficult. But now Deathstairs is gaining and gaining and gaining on Lord George. He has that inside line. Oh, Lord George didn't quite anticipate that Deathstairs would be there, but Deathstairs with the outside line for the bus stop chicane. Will now the inside line for the final part of it. Will he get the traction down? It looks like they're fairly close here, but Deathstairs for the time being has got that position. Lord George potentially looking to send it down the inside into La Source. He's not able to do so. But now we have a lovely view of Lord George heading through Eau Rouge, and now the top of Radion, and he is gaining and gaining massively there. On Deathstairs is Lord George, and now he will have the outside the line for Lecom. And who will quite make the move? It's going to be Lord George who comes out on top there. Coming out ahead of Deathstairs. And I'm sure that this battle will continue to rage on for a number of laps, as Deathstairs is looking extremely pacey at this stage of the race. But if he had any hopes of potentially getting a podium in this race, he kind of had to get past Lord George right there. As you can see, the gap to Ricardo F1 is 4 seconds. Oh, who is actually quite close to Danny Ibn Lahar. They are both in Williams, but running a little bit wide there. But we're going to be keeping our eyes on this battle for 4th place between Deathstairs and even now Nemesis, who's managed to tail on to the back of this battle. But Lord George defends the outside line into the bus stop chicane, and defends so brilliantly. Maybe Deathstairs saving up to make that move down the Camel Straight. So now tick over to lap 4 for these drivers through La Source. Deathstairs really closing up to the back of Lord George here. So now about to go through Air Rouge, the best corner The most spectacular corner on Formula One. Through the top of Radion. Oh, and it looks like we might have a move for second place here. As Ricardo F1 is just trying to go clean around the outside of Danny Ibn Lahar. But Danny, to his credit, has managed to hold it on with the inside line there. But Destes now trying to do the exact same to Lord George. And it looks like he's got the move done. He's just done exactly what Ricardo F1 tried to do on Danny Ibn Lahar. But it doesn't look like he was able to hold on to the move there, as Danny has maintained P2 and Ricardo is in third. So now they come through the very tricky middle sector. Now through the first stabilo and through the second stabilo. Seems as if Ricardo is just running a little bit wide through that corner and losing himself a tiny amount of time. But as we can just see a little bit further back, Destes has extended that gap to Lord George by a second. So if these two start battling in front, who knows, Destes could be right there. And of course, we are just going to go past half race distance on this lap, so there's still plenty of time for Destes to make his move, as we have Ricardo F1 gaining a hell of a lot through Rouge and Radion there on Danny Ibn Lahar. It's now going to be side by side coming into the next corner, with Ricardo F1 having the inside line. And that looks like that move will be done right there, unless Danny can do some sort of switchback into Rivage. No, he's not quite able to do so. And that is Ricardo F1 up into second place ahead of Danny Ibn Lahar. Through Pillon. I don't know what I was saying before. That corner is not Rivage. We should see Danny going a little bit wide there. It's going to cost him some time, and going deep once again into the first stabilo. He's got to compromise his run all the way down this back straight into Blanchimont. And you can see that indeed. Just as I was about to speak about him, Callum J. Spencer sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, 1:46.1, and he at the moment has a comfortable 5 second, I'm going to call it 5 seconds, margin over Ricardo F1. Of course, the man was partying in Vegas last week, and if he's able to secure victory and get himself back on the winners list, I think there might be some more partying going on in a little in Wales tonight. But Nemesis now starting to close back up to Lord George. We've seen him quite close before when Destes and Lord George were battling, but he dropped back for whatever reason. But he is now closing back up. If I can just stop malfunctioning for a moment, that would be great. Nemesis certainly closing up now to Lord George. It just looks like the Ferrari has a little bit more downforce than the Williams through this middle sector, and as you can see quite easily there, Nemesis just able to brake a lot later than Lord George. Now into the first of the stabilos. So important to get a good run out of there. Now into the second stabilo. And Nemesis has got a good run out of here. He's going to get in the slipstream. Oh, really? It looks like Nemesis is already going as quick as he can. As Callum J. Spencer sets once again another fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Nemesis now through the bus stop chicane. Oh, looks like Lord George struggled a little bit with his traction there, but it looks like he actually got away with it. It wasn't too bad. Now into La Source. Also important to get that good run out of the corner as you head down towards Air Rouge and the top of Radion. Lovely taken by Nemesis. Doesn't look like he's able to quite stick with Lord George at the moment in the straight line. The Williams is quicker than the 2004 Ferrari, ever so slightly, I must say. There's not much in it, but at the moment it's kind of hampering Lord George. Oh, sorry, Nemesis at the moment. He's able to close in the middle sector where the Ferrari has a little bit more downforce, but then just not able to do anything about it. And as you can see, Nemesis' fastest lap is about 0.6 of a second quicker than Lord George, but just not able to do it consistently enough. Oh, and now he does certainly have a good run coming out of the Stabilos as we head down the back straight towards Blanchimont, and through Blanchimont now. He has a very good run on, Lord George does. Nemesis is going to try and make the move up the inside of the bus stop chicane. He's sent it very deep. He's got the inside line for the bus stop chicane exit. And now looks like they're going to be side by side coming down into the source with Nemesis having the inside line. He should hold on to that position. And indeed he does for the time being. But Lord George now right in the slipstream. He's going to try and make it side by side into Eau Rouge. Lord George with a stunning overtake around the outside of Nemesis Racing through Eau Rouge. Fantastic, fantastic there by Lord George. A brilliant move. It looks like we have some action behind as well as Galactic Skulls now in the slipstream, and Dougie Aframan not quite close enough to make a move into Lecom on that occasion. But what I was actually trying to do here before, no, needed an interval. Yes, we want to see who has been the biggest gainer so far in this race, and of course the biggest loser has been Kevin Jacobs, who was involved in some contact at the start of this race, and Galactic Skull going for a little bit of a bumpy ride there through Pouant. I'm sure there might have been a little bit of poo coming out of him right there, as it was very, very bumpy. But now Nemesis once again in the slipstream of Lord George down this back straight in towards Blanchimont, but just a little bit too close through Blanchimont. He wasn't able to quite take full advantage of that. He's now going to look for some sort of switch back underneath Lord George, but hits the back of Lord George through that corner actually, and that just stopped all of his momentum. Fakes a move down the inside of La Source. Nothing doing there. Oh, and Galactic Skull has gone through some bollards there. Not entirely sure what has happened on that occasion. But he's lost a position to Kevin Jacobs, who was involved in an incident at the start. We didn't quite catch it on camera. But we have some yellow flags in Sector 2. Must be a lapped car. Yes, I think it might have been an Altanovic there who was... Oh dear. He's just having a nice Sunday drive around the Spa circuit. Of course, one of the biggest losers coming out, well, certainly on the first lap he was the biggest loser, was Death Stairs after he had some wheel-to-wheel contact with Callum J. Spencer heading up Eau Rouge, and neither driver wanted to give an absolute inch at the start of this race, and now Deathstairs is closing that gap to Danny Bin Lahar with just 2 laps left now of this Grand Prix. He has a 1 and a bit second gap to close. Will he be able to close that gap and get a podium, which he probably deserves? He showed fantastic pace throughout this whole entire race. But of course, let's not forget, Danny Bin Lahar is not too far away from Ricardo F1 as well. So who knows what could happen here. But, oh, it looks like we've finally seen Nemesis get past Lord George into turn 1. But now just look how much quicker this Williams is through Air Rouge and Blanchimont, and Radion, as he absolutely breezes past the Ferrari in a straight line. Will be able to hold it into Lecombe, and indeed he is. And that moves Lord George up into 5th place, up ahead of Nemesis. Well, restores him up into 5th place, because he was in 5th place until Nemesis made that move into Les Source. But here we go, things are really spicing up on the penultimate lap. For that 2nd place, we have Danny Bin Lahar closing in on Ricardo F1, and Deathstairs certainly closing in on Danny Bin Lahar as we head down the back straight down towards Blanchimont. And Deathstairs is gaining on Danny Bin Lahar. Is he within striking distance here into the bus stop chicane? Oh, it looks like there's been a little bit of unfortunate lag contact perhaps there. Unless Danny just did lock up the rears and go a little bit sideways into the bus stop. But Deathstairs got to make the move down the inside of Les Source. There is a little bit of contact. Oh, and Danny Bin Lahar has had a little half spin there on Deathstairs. That was very weird, that whole entire sequence. But Deathstairs is up in the 3rd place, and once again Nemesis has got himself ahead into Les Source. But once again, I'm assuming that we're just going to see Lord George absolutely fly past Nemesis down the Camel Straight. Oh, maybe not on this occasion. He is certainly gaining, but he is not going to gain enough, and Nemesis is finally ahead after the Camel Straight of Lord George. Well, it looks like we have some action behind as well, as Kevin Jacobs has found himself past Dougie Afferman, but not the greatest run out of that corner. Oh, and Dougie trying to go around the outside there, but not able to quite manage that move there. It's Kevin. He's ahead, coming in towards Pouon now. Oh, and Dougie Afferman has gone very wide there. But it looks like Nemesis has been able to cement that position over Lord George. And now coming out of the bus stop chicane, it is going to be Callum J. Spencer taking the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, a 145.2 with a dominant 8.9 second win over Ricardo F1. Fantastic pace shown by Callum J. Spencer. He's on another level to these other drivers at the moment. Of course, perhaps Deathstairs could have challenged him, but that was over after Deathstairs and Callum made some contact at the top of Radion and up through Air Rouge. Oh, a fantastic race one that was. Fantastic to see a lot of drivers on the grid, as we usually do here in the Nemesis Online Racing League F1 Historic Championship. We're just waiting for the G-Man to come across the line so I can read out the classification. And there we have it. But we have Callum J. Spencer winning the first race here for round number 6 of the historic F1 League Championship. He's going to be quite delighted with that. Spraying some champagne. And here we have your classifications for the first race here at Spa-Francorchamps. It's Callum J. Spencer who takes victory over his championship rival Ricciardo F1. Destes finishes in 3rd place, who was very quick throughout the race, and of course was only half a second off Callum in qualifying. Danny finishes 4th. Nemesis in 5th, who battled his way past Lord George finally in the last couple of laps. Lord George in 6th, Kevin in 7th, Dougie Afferman in 8th, Galactic Skull in 9th, Seppi in 10th, Murcielago in 11th, the G-Man in 12th, and Anel Tanovic in 13th. But now, whilst Nemesis does a little of changes to the lobby where he sets the weather to dynamic, I will just take a little bit of a break and I'll be back for when qualifying begins for race number 2. And we are back just before the start of qualifying here. Oh, and I have the volume on my iPad so I can hear myself. That's fantastic. But looks like we're going to be in some still having some dry conditions, at least for qualifying here at Spa. And surely after his dominant display in the first qualifying session, Callum J. Spencer will surely be favourite to take pole, and we're going to ride on board with him here as he comes towards La Source, clips the apex so lovely, gets the car straightened up out the corner and full power down towards Air Rouge. Lovely, lovely line through Air Rouge and Radion, who now heads down the Camel Straight down towards Lecombe. Takes those sequence of corners very lovely indeed. Does Callum J. Spencer be? He's in second place at the moment. 2 death stares, but they are neck and neck as we just seen there. Now through the corner with No Name, running very wide there. Lucky not to end up in the wall. Now through Puon, a very difficult corner, but lovely, lovely, lovely. The Ferrari just handling so nice for Callum J. Spencer, but now through the tight and twisty part of the middle sector. And now through the first stabilo. Callum needs to get a good run out of here to make sure he gets himself ahead of Deathstes, who is certainly in a very quick car in the straight line. Of course, also in the 2004 Ferrari, but now on the run, down the back straight, through Blanchimont and up towards the bus stop chicane. Who is going to come out on top here in the battle for pole position? Callum J. Spencer very late on the brakes and very deep on the brakes, and that has probably cost him his chance at pole position. And a poor exit out of the corner. It is going to be Deathstes who takes pole position here in our second qualifying session. Fantastic, fantastic battle for pole that was. They were neck and neck until Callum J. Spencer made that mistake into the bus stop chicane. But well, I didn't think a one-shot qualifying session could be so exciting, as we have Deathstes taking pole by 0.4 of a second over Callum J. Spencer. In third is Danny, fourth is Ricardo, fifth is Kevin, sixth is Dougie, Lord George is in seventh, Galactic Skulls in eighth, ninth is Seppi, 10th is Murcielago, 11th is the G-Man. Nemesis is 12th, poor qualifying there by the Italian. And Aaron Altanovic is in last place in the MP44. But just reading through the chat ever so slightly, it looks like there's going to be some rain at the end of the race. All typical Spa conditions here, it looks like. But who knows, it could all change. Well, I don't know what you're quite talking about, Kevin. I don't think there'll be any rain in this race. Absolutely beautiful sunshine here in Belgium, as we're just waiting for everyone to load into the lobby. To begin the start of race number 2. Just waiting for a few more drivers. And here we go. 3 lights, 5 lights. And lights out, and away we go. It looks like Death says once again, oh, and one of the Ferraris has gone spinning around. That looks like it was Kevin Jacobs. And he's collected one of the other cars. But Danny Bin Lahar has somehow found himself in the lead of this Grand Prix at the moment. as it looks like the Williams, for a moment, we're going to go side by side through Eau Rouge, and it looks like we might be headed for a four-wide battle down the Camel Straight here, as Danny Ben Lahar has the inside line, but it's going to be Ricciardo F1 on the outside. Oh, and the Ferrari of Callum J. Spencer's outbroken himself massively. Ricciardo F1's decided to cut the chicane as well. And Danny Ben Lahar is in third place. Callum J. Spencer's deciding to wait out. And that's just cause chaos as Lord George has dived down the inside there of Danny Ben Lahar. And Lord George... Oh, there's been more contact there. Destes has ended up in the wall. Oh, dearie me. Oh, there's more contact. And Danny Ben Lahar up the inside of Lord George into Pouon. As now on the exit of Pouon, it looks like Callum J. Spencer's going to be very racy here on Ricciardo F1. He hasn't been able to quite make the move stick, but Destes has been kill-shotted once again, as he has just driven clean around the outside of the G-Man. Oh, and I think we're about to have some fireworks back here. Oh, and who was that in the Ferrari going wide? I'm not entirely sure. But we have Seppi right up G-Man and up the inside into the bus stop chicane. Is he going to get the move done? The G-Man is still there, but Seppi trying to out-traction him into La Source. Don't think he's going to be able to do it, but now we have a Ferrari on the inside. Oh, dearie me. Oh, and there's been some contact there between the G-Man and who was that? Murcielago, I believe. So lots of contact everywhere for the beginning of this race. But now Lord George trying to go down the inside of Ricciardo Ricciardo trying to go down the inside of Lord George there. And he has done so successfully, so that moves Ricciardo up into second place of this race. And now Lord George is going to be under pressure from Callum J. Spencer. Oh, and it looks like we got some more yellow flags somewhere. Looks like Anil Tanovic has just retired from the session. It looked like it might have been for the G-Man, those yellow flags. And Anil has now left this session. Callum J. Spencer looking very racy as we come through the first stabilo. Going a little bit wide though, but he's still got a better exit than Lord George. And now tucked up right behind Lord George. Oh, and I thought that could have ended in disaster, but Lord George just turns it back into where Callum J. Spencer already was. And that has caused a little half spin there for Lord George. Pretty poor awareness there, I thought, by Lord George. And that has dropped him down into fourth place. And we've got Galactic Skull trying to go around the outside of so we've got Destes trying to go around the outside of Galactic Skull there at the bus stop chicane, and he has done so successfully. Oh, and Galactic Skull's absolutely launched it up the inside of La Source, and that has been some contact between him and Destes, but now that will allow Nemesis Racing now through Eau Rouge and ready on to gain on the Scotsman down the Camel Straight. Will he be close enough to get a move into Lecombe? Down the inside is Nemesis, has to tuck and keep that inside line very nicely, and he has just about managed it, and he has moved up into 6th place ahead of Galactic Skull. And we're seeing Galactic Skull fall from 5th place to 7th place in the matter of about half a lap. But things are just starting to ever so settle down here. Oh, as Galactic Skull loses the rear end through Pouon. Things are just calming down ever so slightly now after what was a chaotic and absolutely bonkers start to this race here. But now Destes looking to try make his way past Lord George. Lord George looks to be struggling a little bit in this race so far. As Deathstairs on the run up towards Blanchimon, trying to perhaps go around the outside through Blanchimon. That's not going to work there. But he now has the inside line for the bus stop chicane. Is he going to get it stopped under the brakes? Yes, he is, but he's not going to get past Lord Jord. Goes over the bit of the inside curbing there. Does Deathstairs, but he's not quite able to get past Lord Jord quite yet. Now he needs to get a good exit coming out of La Source to try and get that move done down the Kennel Straight after we go through Air Rouge and up the top of Radion. And that is exactly where we're heading down right now, through Air Rouge and through Radion. Deathstairs is gaining and gaining on Lord Jord, but pulls out the slipstream quite early. And as you can see, that Williams is pulling right back out ahead of him, but Lord Jord moving a little bit dangerously there. But that is that means that he's managed to keep back Deathstairs for the time being and holding on to that 4th place. But at the moment, it is Danny Bin Lahar who has the lead from Ricardo F1. Then ahead of Callum J. Spencer after he somehow took the lead into the first corner. I don't know how. Everything happened so quick. But he has the lead as Deathstairs. Oh, Lord George really struggling through the Stabilos there. But that just perfectly... That worked out perfectly there for Lord George, as then Deathstairs couldn't get the run through the second Stabilo. Oh, and Lord George, he's up your inside, pal. Give him a little bit more space. Deathstairs is going to be desperate to try and get past Lord George here. He is certainly quicker than him at the moment. Oh, and it looks like we've had Nemesis dive down the inside there. As we've seen Deathstairs forced a little bit wide through that corner. I'm like, what on earth is going on there? As we see Galactic Skull and Kevin Jacobs battling in the background. That's Kevin Jacobs moving himself up into 7th place. But as we've seen so many times, you get yourself ahead into La Source, but you leave yourself exposed down the Kemmel Straight and into Le Calme, and that is going to be... Oh, Kevin Jacobs has the inside line there. I didn't think he'd be able to hold on to that position. And he's managed to hold himself 7th place. Ahead of Galactic Skull. Well done there by Kevin Jacobs. Now I think we're seeing things start to close up ever so slightly at the top of the field. Deathstairs close and close and close, but through Stabilo he's going to try and look to get past, or sorry, not get past, can't get past through Stabilo, but get closer to Lord George, and indeed he has done so once again. On the run, down the back straight, down towards Blanchimon. Lord George does a perfect job at blocking Deathstairs there, but Deathstairs looks like he's going to have to try and go around the outside in the bus stop chicane. He's very, very late on the brakes, and he goes clean around the outside of Lord George. What a move that is by Deathstairs. Clean around the outside of Lord George there. Absolutely mugged him off in the braking zone. And that is Deathstairs up into the 4th place, but I'm sure Lord George will be looking to have the last laugh here. As through La Source there was a little bit of contact between the two, but now on the run up to Air Rouge and Radion, Lord George had to lift off ever so slightly, otherwise he would have hit the back of Deathstairs. But now with the absolute overspeed that he has the inside line here on Deathstairs, and he goes back down the inside and back up into 4th place of Deathstairs. But Deathstairs will try and have a better exit out of this corner. He does indeed, but Lord George was just that slow. They ended up hitting the back of him there. So Lord George back up into 4th place after Deathstairs pulled an absolute worldie of a move around the outside of the bus stop chicane on Lord George. Lord Jordan hitting that inside curb through Puwan, and that's compromised his run. Will Death says to try and make a move down the inside into this corner. No, he thinks better of it. He thinks better of it. Now coming up towards Stabilo, the first Stabilo. Oh, Lord Jordan clipping the grass on the inside. There seems to be really struggling through the Stabilos. Does Lord Jordan. Now Death Stairs. Has he got the inside? Oh, there's been some massive contact. Lord Jordan, mate, he's up your inside. There's been some huge contact there between Death Stairs and Lord Jordan, as it looks like Lord Jordan did turn in there on Death Stairs, but it's been Nemesis who's been the main beneficiary from all of that, who's managed to go down the inside of Lord Jordan, is now ahead of Lord Jordan in 4th place, but he's run off the track there at La Source, and now Lord Jordan is back up into 4th place, but Death Stairs has the inside line. But for the battle in the lead here, we have Ricardo F1 trying to go around the outside of Danny Ibn Lahar, but Danny Ibn Lahar defends the inside line successfully as he keeps Ricardo at bay for the time being. But Death Stairs trying to go down the inside of Lord Jordan. He's not been able to quite manage the move, and everything is still how it was. Oh, and there's... I thought we had a change for the lead there, but not quite yet. But Ricardo F1 is certainly putting Danny Ibn Lahar under pressure here. Through the Stabilos, Danny managing to get a good run on Ricardo. Oh, sorry, good exits out of the Stabilos compared to Ricardo there. But Ricardo is gaining now through Blanchimont and towards the bus stop chicane. Certainly gaining on Danny Ibn Lahar. Oh, and he's massively outbroke himself there. Oh, I don't know if Danny just went a bit deep. Oh, and there's been some... What's happened to Callum J. Spencer there? Oh, there's massive... Callum J. Spencer's had a little spin of himself. Lord Jordan's ended up in 9th place on the grass on the run down towards Blanchimont. He is retired from the session. And Nemesis is in 5th place, and Death Stairs has finally moved himself up into 4th place. But Ricardo trying to go around the outside of Danny Ibn Lahar into Lecom. Oh, looks like he might be able to make it. Is Danny still there on the inside? He is now they're going to try and go side by side down into the next corner. Ricardo has the line. Danny chucks it up the inside. Oh, this is fantastic battling, but around the outside, it looks like it's going to be Ricardo F1. Instead, now going side by side once again. Danny Ibn Lahar is ahead. Oh, he tried to squeeze him there. Ricardo with the inside line through Puwan. They go side by side through Puwan. Oh, and Ricardo, I think, went off the track. Sorry, Danny went off the track a little bit there, and now they're still side by side into the next corner. Who is going to come out on top? Ricardo has the inside line here, but now for the next corner through Stabilo, it's Danny Ibn Lahar who takes the lead and holds on somehow. Oh, what a battle. I've nearly had a heart attack here. But Ricardo F1 in the slipstream of Danny Ibn Lahar on the run down towards Blanchimont. Blocking. Oh, there's been contact, and Ricardo is in the wall. Danny is off it as well. Oh my lord, what a battle we have just seen there. And now Ricardo is down into 4th place behind Callum J. Spencer and Death Stairs. Oh my goodness, what have we just seen happen? Oh, and Ricardo's now losing it with grass on his tyres as Death Stairs, loose from the shackles of Lord Jordan, has set the fastest lap on the Grand Prix. Oh, and we've got some battling behind between Kevin Jacobs and Nemesis, and it looks like Kevin Jacobs has got an extremely good run out of the corner, and looks like he's going to be able to make the move done and sealed before Air Rouge. Oh my days. But now we have Nemesis in the slipstream of Kevin Jacobs as he's looking to, as he's going to have to go the long way around into Lecom. Is Nemesis trying to force Kevin Jacobs to the narrowest entry point to the corner as possible. But Nemesis, I thought he was going to launch it up the inside there, but decides against it. And he has stayed in 6th place for the time being. But what an insane battle we've seen there between Ricardo F1 and Danny Ibn Lahar on the previous lap. They just got glued on each other as Danny was blocking Ricardo F1 on the run down towards Blanchimont, as we've seen happen several times, even between Lord Jord and Deathstez in this race. As Nemesis up the inside of Stabilo has managed to get himself past Kevin Jacobs, but now Kevin Jacobs on the run down on this back straight and on the run down to Blanchimont is surely just going to comfortably fly past. Nemesis is now going side by side through Blanchimont. Is Kevin Jacobs going to be able to make the move? And he does indeed. Round the outside of Blanchimont. Fantastic overtaking manoeuvre there by Kevin Jacobs, and he's moved himself up into 5th place ahead of Nemesis. But Nemesis will certainly be looking to go back. He's tried the Fernando Alonso fake there, but that's just ended up costing him time. Nemesis just worrying about taking the normal racing line through the corner instead of faking the move, because it looks like that is going to cost him an opportunity at overtaking Kevin Jacobs into Le Calm, and indeed it is. But now on the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix, Callum J. Spencer is 1 and a bit seconds behind Danny Ibn Lahar, and our race 1 winner is going to be looking to close that gap on Danny Ibn Lahar to have that grandstand finish on the final lap of the Grand Prix. He certainly is gaining on Danny, and through the middle sector where the Ferrari has a little bit more downforce than the Williams, the gap is going to close, I suspect. It also looks like we have Nemesis closing in on Kevin Jacobs here. Of course, Kevin Jacobs going around the outside of Nemesis on the previous lap through Blanchimont on this very corner. But Nemesis is gaining on Kevin in the bus stop chicane. He sends it down the inside Australian and he's made the move stick on Kevin Jacobs. What an absolute 7.5 there by Nemesis racing on Kevin Jacobs, and that, I don't know what it's quite happened to Kevin Jacobs on the exit of that corner. He might have lost the rear end out of just pure shock that Nemesis made the move from that far back. But Nemesis is up into 5th place and is looking to make that his until the checkered flag. But Callum J. Spencer not going to be close enough to make a move down the end of the Kemmel straight into Le Calm. And now he's going to have to pull off an incredible final lap this Grand Prix to be even close enough to Danny. Down towards probably his last overtaking opportunity, which is the bus stop chicane. Both drivers giving everything they have got here as they run extremely wide through the corner with no name. Now through Pouon, Danny runs ever so slightly over that curve, costing him some time. And now, as we come through the tight and twisty middle sector, Callum J. Spencer is gaining and closing here on Danny Ibn Lahar now through the first stablo. So crucial to get a good run. Oh, and both drivers got off in the gravel, and that looks like it will be all she wrote as Callum J. Spencer went in the gravel a slight and tiny bit more than Danny Ibn Lahar there, and that has just compromised his run all the way down the back straight and through Blanchimont, as now Danny Ibn Lahar comes through. Oh, he locks up and nearly spins the car. Oh my Jesus Lord, that would have just topped things off. But it's got to be Danny Ibn Lahar who wins this race. 2 race wins in 2 weeks for Danny Ibn Lahar, as he wins ahead of Callum J. Spencer. 3rd is going to be Deathstez, 4th is Ricardo, 5th is Nemesis, 6th is Kevin Jacobs, 7th is Galactic Skull. 8th is going to be Dougie Afroman. And quite some way back, it will be either Seppi or Murcielago for this 9th place. Murcielago in the 2002 Ferrari, not able to gain on Seppi in a straight line. And it looks like it's going to be Seppi holding on to P9 ahead of Murcielago. And then quite a ways back once again, it's going to be the G-Man who will finish in 11th place. And Gaming now venting his frustrations in the chat. What a joke, ... championship defining moments. There you go, that is his thoughts on the incident, and I'm sure we're going to hear the thoughts of Danny Ibn Lahar in the chat afterwards. Dougie, I think it might be about to kick off here in the YouTube chat. As Dougie Afroman saying, can't believe Kevin's taken me out again. Now, I'm not entirely if that was from the start or where that was. But Kevin's in the chat, I'm sure you two can work that out. But wow, what an incredible race we have just witnessed. A potential championship defining moment. As Gaming now, or Ricardo F1 and Danny Ibn Lahar had contact, which sent Ricardo F1 into the wall through Blanchimont, as Danny was blocking the run of Ricardo F1 through Blanchimont. Oh my days, what an incredible race we have just had here at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. It never disappoints, does this racetrack. It's going to be Danny Ibn Lahar who takes the race victory from Callum J. Spencer in 2nd, 3rd Death Says, 4th Ricardo F1, 5th is Nemesis, 6th is Kevin Jacobs, 7th is Galactic Skull, 8th is Dougie Afroman, 9th is Seppi, 10th is Murcielago, 11th is the G-Man, 12th is Lord Judd, and 13th is Anil Tanovic. And I don't know how I've been able to quite read out everyone's name in time there, but I have done so indeed. But wow, I am still in shock of what has just happened in that race. Absolutely stunned. Fantastic display of driving, and maybe not some fantastic displays of driving there in that race. But that will be it for me, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you all next week for round number 7 of the Nemesis Online Racing League Championship. Of course, I will be back tomorrow for the Flat Out Racing League Championship. So I hope you all have a great evening, afternoon, day, wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you later.